In the last video, I talked about how conversations can result in an incredible amount of progress in our relationships, in ourselves, and in the world. But I even stated that conversations where we actually don't agree with the person that we're talking to can result in even more progress. But do these conversations always result in progress? Absolutely not. I mean, a lot of times they result in destruction. I mean, they destroy relationships and ourselves, and even are very destructive to the world. So, how do we have these kinds of conversations that where they result in progress? Well, I want to bring us back to chemistry class. I mean, we all had to take it. Maybe you haven't taken it yet. Maybe you're currently taking it. But in this class, we learned that everything in this world is made up of elements. I mean, you have oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, so on and so forth. Well, just like everything that we experience in this world is made up of elements, well, good conversations are also made up of elements. And when I say good conversations, I mean conversations that result in progress. So throughout this video series, I'm going to be talking through these elements. And I believe that when we use these elements, they're going to create very good conversation that results in progress. But throughout this series, I'm going to be assuming that we are talking to someone who does not agree with us. The first element is respect. And when I say respect, I mean respecting someone's character. We don't necessarily need to respect their argument, though it's nice when we can do that too, but we do need to respect the person's character. So, in order for us to respect someone's character, we need to develop the skill of separating one's ideas from their character. Now, why is it so important for us to do this? Well, I want us to think about a time where somebody was attacking our character. For me, that's happened to me before, and what happened to me was all kinds of unhealthy things. One, my defense mechanisms go way up. And as a result of this, the conversation shifts from discussing ideas to now discussing character and trying to defend my own character. And in the process, I might find a need to bash the other person's character in the pursuit of defending my own character. So the second thing that can happen is I can develop a very unhealthy commitment to my beliefs because this person made my character and my beliefs the same thing. So now it's personal, right? I have to defend what I believe, or else my character, or what that person thinks of my character, is at stake. So I'm no longer feeling the freedom to change my opinions on things. I'm no longer actually listening and hearing out the person who's talking to me and considering the experience and evidence that they bring to me. I'm now pretty much closed-minded. And then third thing that happens is, my relationship with that person is damaged. I feel like I've been hurt by that person. I may not feel comfortable around that person. I may not want to talk to that person anymore. So that's what happens, to me at least, when someone's not respecting my character. Now, we can pull off respecting someone's character even if we believe that they're a bad person. But I find it to be way easier if I'm actually assuming that they are a good person. There's a podcast that I listen to with a therapist named Hillary McBride. I think she says something very, very wise. She says something along the lines of, we have to make all kinds of assumptions in life. So I find it easier to make assumptions that is going to drive me to love the person more. For an example, if I assume that someone has good intentions, that's going to drive me to love them more. So because we're going to have to make an assumption anyway, why not assume that they have good intentions, that they have good character. And I just think this is really, really wise because we can all admit that it is way easier to love someone that we believe is a good person, right? I mean, I think that we should be loving people who have bad character, but it's a lot easier to love them if they have good character. So why not assume that they have good character? Now, there are times in life where we are going to have to make a judgment on someone's character, where it's smart to do so. I mean, for an example, if we're going to hire someone for a job, we should probably make sure that, they're a hard worker, that they're honest. Speaking of honesty, if we're going to, tell something very, very personal to us, we should probably make a judgment on whether that person that we're going to talk to is trustworthy. If we're going to have someone babysit our kids, that's very important to make sure that the person has good character before we do so. So there are obviously exceptions to this, but what I'm saying is most of the time when we're having a conversation with someone, it's very helpful, for me at least, to assume that the person has good character. The second element is honesty. Now, there are two forms of being dishonest. One is that we blatantly lie about what we believe. The second one is that we are not direct enough about what we believe to the point where the person that we were talking to believes that we believe something that we actually don't. So, why is it so hard for us to be honest in conversations with people who don't agree with us? Well, I think the main reason, at least for me, is because I believe that I am going to offend the person that I'm talking to and therefore damage the relationship. But, as we talked about earlier, remember, there is a way to respect the person's character while disagreeing with their ideas. And I wholeheartedly believe that when we do this, the chances of them being offended and the chances of our relationship with them being hurt are going to decrease dramatically. So why is honesty so important in conversations? Well, the short answer is because truth matters, and what we have to say can help someone move towards truth. Now, could we be wrong? Absolutely. But what if we're not? Or what if there's elements of what we're saying that is true? So what we say to someone who does not agree with us can help that person move towards truth. So what if we don't believe in absolute truth? Well, being honest with people who do not agree with us can still have relational benefits. Being honest with somebody and what we believe can help that person get to know us and therefore help our relationship with that person grow, as long as we are being respectful and we're implementing the other elements that we talked about in this video. To be clear, when I am talking about honesty in conversations, I'm talking about being honest about our ideas, not the person's character. Now, if we can assume that they have good character, sure, let's be honest about that. But if we can't, if we can't be sure that they have good character, let's not talk about that. It will kill our conversations. So does being honest in a conversation mean that we're necessarily going to share our opinions always? No. I don't see silence as a form of dishonesty, which brings me to the next element. The next element to allow conversations that will result in progress is good judgment. I think we've all been in conversations with people who are clearly angry or clearly sad or clearly feeling some kind of emotion on an intense level. In those circumstances, I think good judgment, like using good judgment, would mean to not share our opinions with that person, even if we disagree with them. Sometimes the best thing that we can do is just be silent, just sit with someone in their emotions and validate their emotions. So, for an example, COVID-19 has affected everybody, some way more than others. But let's say that someone posts on their Instagram page a photo of themselves alone in their room, and they say something along the lines of, I am just so sick of this quarantine. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to be cooped up in here. I miss my friends. I miss school. Um, it would be bad judgment for someone to post on this post who is very pro quarantine, something along the lines of, well, you better not be considering going outside or going into public because people's lives could be on the line here. Now, this person just needs someone to validate what they're feeling and to express sympathy towards them. That's what that person needs in this circumstance. Another example, let's say that someone lost their job due to COVID-19 and they're struggling to make ends meet, and they say they're just expressing their anger towards what the government is doing to shut down their business and yada, yada, yada. Now, it's not a good time to say, well, I think that it's necessary. No, the person just lost their job. We need to use good judgment before we start spouting off our opinions. These people most likely just need our sympathy and empathy. Or maybe we're the ones that are feeling really emotional. I mean, let's say that we're feeling angry. It's probably not a good time to have a conversation with somebody. Why? Because there is a high probability that we're going to end up insulting them instead of having a conversation about strictly the ideas. Having good judgment also means to agree to disagree at times. Let's say that we've had a conversation with a particular person multiple times, shared everything that we have to say about our argument from multiple angles, and the person still does not agree with us. Well, in this circumstance, it's a good idea to agree to disagree and to stop engaging them on the topic. Why? Because at some point, the person is going to see it as an attack on their character when we continually engage them in the same conversation. At some point, they're going to think, okay, we've had this conversation before, you've shared all this information, I have considered it, and I have come to my own conclusion. I mean, do you think I'm stupid or something? I'm not able to come to my own conclusion? So in this circumstance, the best thing I think we can do is to agree to disagree. But it's so hard to not talk to somebody about a specific issue because we think that we're right. And because we think we're right, we think that the loving thing to do is to help them see the truth, right? Well, that's where the next element comes into play. It's so, so important, and we'll discuss it in the next video.